What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics, and today we got a day of the week top 10. You'll see when we get into it. Quite creative, brought to us by my friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Osmond. Thank you, Osmond. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us anyway, check out the Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. We couldn't do it without you. And Osmond says, I have decided to make a list consisting of songs with the name of a day in the week in the title, or songs by bands with days in their band name. I've also included some songs with a bit of a creative connection to the topic to make it a 10-song list instead of 7. So if you've never been with us before, the music will not be in the video, but it'll be at a Vimeo link below. I encourage you to follow along with this. Let's go to the first song. We got a band I am very familiar with because I'm running their discography for Caitlin, one of our patrons, and also Vita, one of our newer patrons. But Bright Eyes, First Day of My Life from I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning in 2005, an album that did make my album draft list. Trey and I did album drafts last year for every year from 1965 through 2022. Picking our top 10 albums. Go check that out. This was a single, went to 37 in the UK, 266 on Pitchfork's top 500 tracks of the 2000s. This is a bunch of TVs, movies, commercials. This is obviously not a day of the week, but on this one, Osmond says the first song is about the first day, thus it's placed before our Monday song, which you're going to have to wait for. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Osmond. All right, First Day of My Life. If you've watched my Bright Eyes, and maybe you haven't if you're watching this, but I think Conor Oberst is arguably the best lyricist of this century. Jason Isbell could be thrown in there as well, but he's right up there, and this is no exception to that. And, he's writing to this woman who they're not together anymore, or if they are, it's a very fractured relationship, but he's reminding her of how it used to be, right? And saying, verse 2 is all about how it used to be. The last chorus, he said, but I'd rather be working for a paycheck than waiting to win the lottery. And some people say it ruins the romantic gesture of the song, but it doesn't, because he said, I'd rather work at this relationship, right? Instead of just waiting around, hoping that I would find somebody else who's my true love. So besides maybe this time it's different, I really think you like me. I like the way that ends after all of that. So fantastic choice there. As an 80s kid, we could go Manic Monday here from the Bangles, but Osmond made the better choice. We're going Blue Monday, iconic, right, from New Order. The original single made the top 10 in many countries, reached number 9 in the UK, spent 38 weeks in the top 75, spent 186 weeks on the UK Independent Singles Chart. It was second only to Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division, which New Order was formed in 1980 by the former members of Joy Division, which split after the death, of course, of Ian Curtis. They later recruited Jillian Gilbert as keyboardist and second guitarist and began to explore new musical technologies such as, synthesizers. A whole lot of people started exploring that in the 80s. In New Zealand, it peaked at number 2, spent 74 weeks there in the top 50. And then it was remixed. It was released several times in Britain. The 1988 remix reached number 3 on the British chart and 4 on the Australian chart, and topped the dance chart in the US, finally made it over to where I am at. It is the best-selling 12-inch single of all time. Rolling Stone has it on 235 of the greatest 500 songs of all time. It's a long one, right? And this is the single version, so it can be way longer than this. Let's check it out. All right, Blue Monday. There are drum programming or drum machines, if you will, and there's this, right, where it's just constant. And you got 4 guys on the keys on the programming. Peter Hook is playing a 6-string bass. I'll give him that. Bernard Sumner, of course, on the vocals. But, this song just does take you back to a time and place. You can imagine an 80s disco/dance club. The big hair, the clothes. This fits into it. This is prototypical of it. Next up, we have the Moody Blues in the Afternoon, but it's also known as Tuesday Afternoon from the Days of Future Past in 1967. Went to 24 in the US, 12 in Canada. Justin Hayward said that he wrote the song on a Tuesday afternoon in Western England. Hayward's mother had taken him and his brother to that park while they were growing up, and he revisited the park during the production of the album to write the song. He said he wrote the song with a guitar and a joint in hand. The London Festival Orchestra performs the final orchestral rendition of the chorus. And he originally named it Tuesday Afternoon, but the way it fell in the album, the producer convinced him to rename it The Afternoon. But on some albums and comps now, it's called Tuesday Afternoon. So Osmond's not wrong. It's Tuesday Afternoon. All right, The Afternoon, which is really Tuesday Afternoon. And after that orchestra, we get Evening Time to Get Away, but it's all on the album, so I just played it. I don't know whether Osmond wanted to play it or not, but it is all part of the song The Afternoon. So obviously great instrumentation. It's a bit long for me. Part of that's because that second song is in here. It's very proggish, and I'm not always high on very proggish, but it's a good performance. Justin Hayward really stretching that vocal range in that upper part. Mike Pender on the mellotron, of course, and John Lodge on the bass was really good. So, Moody Blues, fantastic band. I've got a Moody Blues top 10 up that I did at this point years ago, but a good choice there for Tuesday afternoon. So what are we going to do for Wednesday, you ask? We're going to go with the group Wednesday, who I've never heard of, with the song Chosen to Deserve from Rat Saw God this year in 2023. It just came out the month I'm filming this in April. It's one of Pitchfork Magazine's picks for best albums of April 2023. All right, let's go. Chosen to Deserve, a really good song by the group Wednesday. It was kind of like listening to Phoebe Bridgers, struck with a little bit of country flair in there, but the lyrics were really good. She's telling her significant other all these things that she used to do, and she talks about a Carly Hartzman being the she who was singing this. She said, Chosen to Deserve is less about self-evaluation, more about sharing parts of yourself that only someone that has put in the time to get to know you knows about you and has to accept about you to get an insight into your inner circle. The main structure for that is sitting down with your romantic partner and filling them in on the not so fun parts of your past. I've been dating my partner for 4 years now, so I'm just evaluating what that means. We've seen and accepted all the ugly parts of each other. It's a really interesting time in a relationship, and I'm figuring it out myself. That song is a way of processing. So I think, I know Osmond's married and I'm married. I've been married for a very long time. But at some point when you're dating someone, you're not going to go out and just tell them all the stuff that you've done. But as you see this thing might turn into a long term, you realize, okay, I need to really reveal these things to them because they're probably going to find out anyway, or I just don't want these secrets there. So this song is kind of about that, but a really, really good effort, both arrangement-wise, songwriting, vocals. I super enjoyed that one for a group that I'd never heard of, and it just came out this month. Almost halfway done. We're going to go with Mitski, Thursday Girl. It's perfect, right? From Puberty 2 album in 2016. All right, Mitski, Thursday Girl. I listened to a couple Mitski albums I know for the album draft that Trey and I did last year, where we ranked every single top 10 for the albums from 1965 through 2022, and liked her. I had not listened to this song. The song's very haunting, right? She's in a self-destructive behavior, and she wants anybody to care enough to step in and stop her and help her. But I thought her lyrics were great. I thought the atmosphere of the song, the arrangement really came in with that kind of tone, right? You really felt it. It fit it so well. So a really good effort there. As we enter the top 5 of this, we have the Easy Beats, Friday on My Mind, from the Easy album, all the way back in 1965, written by band members George Young and Harry Vonda. It became a worldwide hit, reaching number 16 in the US, number 1 on the Dutch charts, number 1 in Australia, number 6 in the UK, as well as charting in several other countries. In 2001, it was voted the best Australian song of all time by the Australia Asian Performing Right Association. Though the song has long been termed a working class anthem, George Young, one of the writers, maintained it had more to do with their outlook on the world than any class statement. Friday on My Mind, the Easy Beats, saying the sentiments of most of the working people in this world who work a traditional Monday to Friday work week, right? Monday starts over, they just got Friday on their mind, so he's going through each day waiting for Friday to come on his mind because he's going to go out, party, be with this girl, have fun, and then he's going to do it all over again. He's being happy on Monday, but he's going to be looking to Friday. He's going to have Friday on his mind. So I thought, just a fun song, right? Takes you back to a time and place. It's the mid-60s. Love the sound of it. Next up, we have Black Sabbath with the song Black Sabbath from the album, their debut, Black Sabbath, in 1970. If you haven't checked it out, Trey, my partner on this channel, was going through the Black Sabbath catalog. So he's done this album. I've actually never listened to a Black Sabbath album. I don't know why. I just haven't. I've listened to most of all of the classic albums of all time, as you well know if you watch this channel all the time. So I've never, well, maybe I've heard the song. I shouldn't say I've never heard the song, but I don't know where I would have heard it. But I do know all about Black Sabbath, see, because I do all the research here. So far, Trey's done 8 or 9 albums. So I've done all the research on them. So I feel like I know them very well. And this song in particular has a very interesting story. It is the first song on this album, so it's the very first thing you hear from Black Sabbath. But according to the band, it was inspired by an experience that Geezer Butler had in the days of Earth, their previous band. Butler, obsessed with the occult at the time, painted his apartment matte black and placed several inverted crucifixes and pictures of Satan on the walls. As a Christian, I'm going to say it's probably not a great idea. Ozzy Osbourne gave Butler a black occult book written in Latin and decorated with numerous pictures of Satan. Butler read the book and then placed it on a shelf beside his bed before going to sleep. When he woke up, he claims he saw a large black figure standing at the end of his bed, staring at him. The figure vanished, and Butler ran to the shelf where he'd placed the book earlier, but the book was gone. He related this story to Ozzy, who then wrote the lyrics to the song based on Butler's experience. And Geezer goes on and says, that was pretty much the end of me messing with the occult. In March of 2023, so just last month at the time of this, Rolling Stone placed this song at #1 on the greatest heavy metal songs of all time. Now you ask, how is this on a days of the week? Well, this is one of them that Osmond had to get creative with, right? He said, the Black Sabbath song is placed between Friday and Saturday, since it's the Jewish Sabbath is from Friday evening to Saturday evening, right? Makes sense. Very clever. All right, Black Sabbath. And the song is just about what Geezer went through, right? Talking about a black figure there pointing, Satan, God help me, all of that stuff. The instrumentation is fantastic. I can just imagine throwing this on in 1970 and going, what is this? The build to it. And like I said, remember, this is the first song on the album. It's the first thing that anybody would have heard. But yeah, really well done. I mean, obviously the ambiance in there, it's ominous, right? It's like, wow, man. And you get that little change up with about 2 minutes to go, and then they hammer back on that same theme of, basically, you better watch out. Don't play around with the occult, boys and girls. That's your lesson for the day. Next up, you have Nick Drake with Saturday Sun from 5 Leaves Left in 1969. This is the album closer. Saturday Sun, Nick Drake, great songwriting. Love the arrangement. I only know Pink Moon from him, just a song. Never listened to any of his albums. He only has 3 albums and a tragic story. Died of an overdose at age 26. No one knows if it was on purpose or not, but he wouldn't perform in front of people, right? So he could just never really make it, especially at this point in time where variety shows and different things were very popular in the late 60s, early 70s, where you had to be out there and be seen. There's actually no video of an adult Nick out there. Like, there's nothing out there. So a very mysterious figure, but love the voice, love the arrangement. Saturday Sun, I mean, he fought depression all his life. This song kind of is indicative of that because, you know, he's talking about how Saturday is great, but you know, Sunday, here comes Sunday. And, you know, I think the things that a lot of us go through where, you know, you're so excited for Friday and Saturday. We talked about that earlier on this countdown. But then Sunday comes and you're like, oh no, I'm about to go back to work or school this week. So Saturday Sun, even though he's basking in it in one part, it's making him depressed in another. And I think a lot of us go through that. We got 2 songs left. We got Chris Christopherson, Sunday Morning Coming Down, from the Christopherson album in 1970s, also on the Essential Chris Christopherson, which is where I took this off of Spotify. It's a song written by Chris. It was recorded in 1969 by Ray Stevens, which became his first country hit, before becoming a #1 hit on the U.S. Billboard country chart for the great Johnny Cash. In 2021, Rolling Stone ranked this 476 on their 500 greatest songs of all time. Chris did an NPR interview in 2013. He said, I'm just real grateful for that song because it opened up a whole lot of doors for me. So many people that I admired it. Actually, it was a song that allowed me to quit working for a living. Just thought that was a great quote. All right, Sunday Morning Coming Down. Great songwriting here. And I mean, Chris is basically hungover, has a beer for breakfast, goes outside, has another one for dessert, goes outside smoking a cigarette, sees a kid kicking the can down the road, cussing at it. But he smells that chicken, that fried chicken, that Sunday, taking him back to Sundays of his past, right? I think when he used to attend church, because he mentioned church, sitting next to a Sunday, he walks next to a Sunday school, listens to the song they're singing, but he's so depressed because Monday's about on its way, right? Kind of a common theme here, but maybe kind of about a guy who's lost his way, kind of knows he should be doing different things with his life, kind of with the church and the different spiritual things brought in there, but can't really get away from what he's doing. He just kind of maybe doesn't think a whole lot of himself and kind of longs for a different time. So I think it's a really well-written song. I think the arrangement fits, and Chris has a good voice, man. Yeah, I know what you're telling yourself. You're like, that's it, we're done, right? But there's still 1 song left. Where do we get that 10th one? Well, of course, the lads from Liverpool, 8 days a week, the Beatles. That could be after Sunday, as Osmond tells me. But you don't know about this song. We have probably 70, 80 Beatles videos up. I don't know. We've done reactions and reviews of all the albums, ranked all the songs on the albums, ranked all the individual singer songs, everything. Just go check it out if you want to know anything about the Beatles. It's all in there. But a little brief thing on this. It was written by Paul and John based on McCartney's original idea. It's released in the UK in December 64 on the album Beatles for Sale. In the US, it was first issued as a single in February 65 before appearing on the North American release Beatles 6. Remember, the Capitol Records in the United States created all these false albums of the Beatles and rearranged orders and stuff. The song was the band's 7th #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100, a run of chart success achieved in just over a year. Also went to #1 in Canada, Belgium, and the Netherlands. It opens with a fade-in, marking the first time that this technique has been used on a pop studio recording. Paul has said this came from two different places. Either Ringo said it, which he has said several times, but he also said it was from an overworked chauffeur, 8 days a week. When we heard it, we said, really? Bing, got it. In the Beatles anthology book, he states, I usually drove myself there to Lennon's house, but he says the chauffeur drove me out that way. And I said, how you been? He said, oh, working hard. He said, working 8 days a week. So you got John on lead vocals here, double tracked, and everybody else is in here. So let's finish this thing off. 8 days a week. I mean, it's the Beatles, so I'm going to love it. A fantastic song and a great idea for Osmond to top this list off with that. I mean, everybody on the hand claps. John is really getting into it in one of those spots, you know, where the early John is just is unprecedented. He just sings so hard, if that makes sense. It becomes more refined and maybe not quite as good as it goes through, but I don't want to start that conversation. He was fantastic. Always one of my favorite vocalists of all time, Mr. Lennon. But a fantastic way to end this list. All right, now we come to my favorite tracks of Osmond's Day of the Week Top 10. This is going to be really hard, right? Because when you're doing a top 10 of an artist, sometimes you can find songs you like and don't like. But when you do a top 10 like this a lot of times, and I mean, this had to be hard to put together. I mean, once again, kudos for Osmond to come up with this idea, and it flows so nicely. And the way he came up with the 3 extra tracks, and you're just picking some great songs by great artists. So honorable mention, we'll go with Bright Eyes, First Day of My Life. New Order, Blue Monday, although that probably should be a fave. Thursday Girl by Mitski. Faves are going to be the Easy Beats, Friday on My Mind, Black Sabbath, the Beatles, 8 days a week, and Wednesday, chosen to deserve the little hidden gem on this thing. So, I mean, basically everything. I mean, I liked everything on here, so it was really hard. My least favorite song was the Moody Blues song, and I still like that song. So, I don't know, man. Let me know what you think of this list down below. What are your favorites on here? What are the days of the week can you come up with that could have been on here? Songs about days of the week that are good, not just any song, right? That you thought's quality enough to be on here. So thanks again to Osmond. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Until next time, guys, I will see you.